Oh, it's already torn. Oh, Jesus. Just sticking to everything. Gross! My fingers aren't sticky anymore. Are those the right screws? I think so. Ugh, it's really on there. Okay, yeah. And as long as all the holes line up, we're good to go. But I did, I felt it too. Hello and welcome back to Zach Does It. I'm Zach, and in today's episode, we're going to be tackling a handful of different small projects. I did all of the interior disassembly, I did the mechanical check, I did a handful of other upgrades as well, including the soundproofing and insulation, but there were still a few pieces that I missed. In particular, a very easy upgrade are these door bushings. The old rubber ones are shot and gross and old and, well, flexible, but these are hard and plastic and new, and hopefully will prevent the door from rattling as much as I drive down the highway or I hit those Philadelphia potholes that we all love so much. But we're not going to stop there. We're doing the bushings. We're also going to finally tackle the passenger side window crank. I haven't had a passenger side window that I can raise or lower in 3 months, and I'm finally getting there where I can reach all the way across and roll it up and down, but I don't have to worry about it slacking while I'm driving down the road. So we'll get that installed, but also while we're in there, we will take the leftover soundproofing that we had and we'll apply it to both doors. So the passenger door is coming off for the window crank and some soundproofing, the driver's side door is coming off just for soundproofing, and we'll finally be done with that endeavor. But that's not all. We're not done yet. The last piece of today's episode is going to be taking a look at a new center console, and I am so excited for it. I cannot wait to finally have cup holders, especially cup holders that don't get in the way. So let's dive in, let's get started with the doors, and let's see how much better we can improve Mama's ride quality. Let's do this. Okay, all right, so first things first, let's disassemble the door. We need to get inside. So we're gonna take these trim pieces off. We'll just unscrew everything and hopefully it'll come apart without breaking anything. I don't have any replacement parts, so really wanna be careful this time. If you've never worked on a manual crank door before, one very important piece to be aware of is there is a retaining clip on the crank itself. So don't just try to rip off the crank. You have to make sure that you take that clip off first, otherwise you're gonna have a real problem. In fact, you can actually see where that goes in. See if I can zoom in with some editing software. But there's a little gap on the crank itself that when we put that crank piece on, when we put this on, we'll see where that pin goes to lock it in place. But be aware, don't just try to rip this off, you will break something. So, there we go. Like I said, it's a real small pin, but if you forget to take that out, you'll probably break something. It really should be that easy. And we can look at this so that you're prepared to take yours apart. It looks like I'm actually missing a couple of these clips, but you see this white one, this blue one, all of those. This one's a little crooked, which would explain why it wasn't pushing in nicely. Wow. Seen some better days. All right, cool, that's in place now. But each of these pins or clips pops into a single hole. So as you're working your way around, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 10 or 11 different clips. I see some that are missing, but make sure that you're taking those off, and then from there, it slides up. So don't try to pull it off this way, push it up, and it'll come right off. So here's our nice door panel. It's actually in pretty good, the card's in pretty good shape. At some point I may reupholster, may make a custom one. It looks like it's just a kind of fiberboard with some plastic up top, so we should be able to spruce this up a bit down the road, so that's kind of cool. All right, and now we get to do the messy stuff. I think for starters, we are soundproofing and we are doing the window crank. We want to get this vapor barrier off, which helps prevent moisture from getting inside the door. And there's this black goopy stuff all over the place. It's an adhesive to keep it on there. It should remain tacky. My goal is just to make as little of a mess as possible because this will just really mess up my hands. So we're gonna take this off slowly, try to get into the internals, but oh man. This is hands down the worst part about taking your doors apart, is just dealing with the OEM solutions for preventing moisture getting places. And from the looks of it, most of it's coming up with the plastic itself. So I want to see if I can get this off without tearing. Just kind of working my way around slowly, not pulling too hard. And I'm wondering if we need to take the actual door latch mechanism off. We'll see how far we need to go. Oh, it's already torn. Oh, Jesus. This may be one of those things where you just deal without. I actually don't know how necessary this barrier is for blocking moisture. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some quick Google searching, see what the forums have to say, because honestly, it's just gross, and I'd rather cut my own plastic and reapply it than try to reuse this. So that might be the way we go. Yeah, we got to take that off. My hands are so gross. Just sticking to everything. Oh wow, holy shit. The passenger side crank really just like destroyed itself. It's kind of shattered. The cable itself snapped. So we got our work cut out for us. You know what? I think this is a job for Goo Gone. Let me get some of the bulk of this off. I'll get some Goo Gone on here and we'll see if we can soak some of this rubber like adhesive. Oh man, it's just sticking to everything. This is so gross. Gross! Use this to kind of soak. Okay, so we will let that soak for a few minutes. I'll probably reapply some extra Goo Gone a couple times. This really, it's just a lot of buildup, so it's not going anywhere. But in the meantime, we can start getting the window out itself. Ooh, my fingers aren't sticky anymore. So how do we get this out? Oh man. Well, that's not supposed to be broken. Okay, now maybe it'll come out all the way. If at first it doesn't come off, try harder. Ah, there we go. Okay, hey, we figured it out. All right, so there were three extra screws that were holding the glass to the crank mechanism. I'm just gonna try to slide this out gingerly. All right, don't break it. All right, and let's try wiping this down. So y'all already know how versatile these trim tools are from all the different ways I've used it in the past. Well, here's one more. Goo Gone is good for getting kind of light residue off and making sure that things that are really sticky become less sticky. But when it comes to really caked on stuff, it's actually not working all that great. So you want to scrape off all the excess. All right, so there's still some extra cleaning that I want to do before I start putting everything back together, but this is the crank that came out, and this is the cable. It snapped. So I don't know what caused it to fail. Very likely it got jammed and someone tried too hard, and next thing you know, you've got a snapped cable. So that broke. I'm going to try not to break the next one, but there's something else that I want to point out real quick. So here is the window, as we can see, and there's a few telltale pieces that I thought was just kind of hardened, hardened lubricant. You know, it's been around for a while, but it turns out that this is actually a wheel, and that wheel goes on here. And that wheel slides inside of a channel inside this piece. So I don't have that wheel, which means that this will rattle and shake inside the door frame. And what it also means is that it won't be as smooth as it otherwise should be. So I'm somewhat concerned that if I put everything back together, I'm just going to snap another cable, or worse, I'll break the window, or something else more problematic will happen. But I also can't drive with my door off, so I need to do something. And by do something, I mean order and install a new set of bushings that go in those guide rail channels. But I'm future Zach, and that's past Zach. And unfortunately, there's no way for me to go back in time and help myself out with those new bushings. But that's just the way projects go sometimes. You get, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, 2 days into a project, and you discover that a part is broken or missing, or otherwise just needs replacing that you didn't plan on. And it happens all the time, but that just means that you've got kind of two different options. One, you order the parts and wait, which obviously I didn't have the time for, or you do what I did and you just save it for a rainy day. It's just an opportunity for another project. Sure, it's inconvenient because I have to take the door apart again, but that's just more experience. At some point, I'll get even better at doing this, and it'll take less and less time as I go. Which brings me to my next point, the premise of this entire series, or at least the process by which I've created this entire series. Way back in February of this year, I spent about 3 weeks at my parents' house because they're much better equipped for doing car work than I am in the city. But I spent those 3 weeks working long nights and weekends just to try to get through all of the work that y'all have been enjoying for the past 6 months. And we're finally catching up to all of that content that I've recorded. And that's exciting because it means, number one, I need to start recording more content, which means I need to start more projects. That's exciting in and of itself. But secondly, it also means that the format of my videos may start to change over time, especially as we catch up with present time and I have less lead time ahead of each video to do the recordings. All of that is exciting for me, and I hope it's exciting for you as well. For the next few weeks, I can accurately predict that we're going to continue working on my doors, we're going to address those bushings, and we're going to take a look at that center console. I know after that, I plan on doing some recap videos where I go into the details about what I've spent so far. If you remember back, I already had one of those videos, but I want to go a little deeper in terms of the time I put in, the effort, some additional costs as well, and also lay more groundwork for future projects to come. Also, sneak peek that I mentioned in a previous episode is that I do have a new transmission and differential, and I've already started working on those. So trust me, there's plenty more to come. I've just got a lot of ideas floating around in my head, and it's just going to take some time to get them into video format. But each week, a new episode will be coming out on Thursdays, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if you've been enjoying this series so far, or if any of the new projects that I've been talking about coming up sound exciting to you, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. You'll be alerted each time a new episode drops, and you won't miss anything. That's it for this week though, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.